comment about Kamsa's two wives, Asti and Prapti. I thought perhaps because it's so obvious, at least to someone who knows Bengali. Asti is a good word for all of you to learn. If you ever have to take a taxi from Kolkata to Mayapur, I don't recommend you do that, but if you want to play with your life, have something very exciting, you might go ahead and do that. Asti is a good word to learn because if you want to say, slow down, say Asti, Asti. And the word Asti means, you could say, it's okay. And this is one of the wives of organized religion, mechanical religion. Everything's okay. You remember. I even hear it sometimes in our ISKCON movement. So-and-so person left their body and they went back to Godhead. They went with their guru. How do you know? I don't know, it just sounds good. And we say like that. Because people, when they come to the temple, it'll make them happy to hear like that. And prapti means to acquire something, to get something. There's a phrase, prapti siddhi. Someone has a mystic power to be able to attain anything they like. And so that's the second wife of mundane religion. And we hear so many people say that if you just join our religion. I remember one person, I was selling books in a parking lot in Los Angeles, and somebody came up to me and he started preaching. He said, just chant this mantra, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. And if you chant this mantra, you get anything you want. He said, I got a guitar, I got a bicycle, and I got a girlfriend. It's a really cool mantra. So there's a lot of people like that. And they advertise, sometimes they have television shows, that this is the purpose of religion, is prapti. But this is mundane religion. And Baka is someone who looks like a religious person. And the Haribhakti Sutta describes Dambika bahula dveshar chitai slagita janai samrambino nita nisara krityameba nibad vijaha. They're such hypocritical persons. They dress like devotees. But their real nature is they're envious of other people all the time. And although they dress like a devotee, they're always planning evil works. And he says, in spite of that, the people in general praise them. But like an elephant made out of wood, they can't accomplish anything worthwhile. My grandma, as I was listening to a lecture he was giving, and saying that if you somehow or other were able to take a poll from every person in the world, make a vote, which is more important? Pious activities, feeding the poor people and that, or doing bhakti? He said, you'll be very disappointed. Maybe out of the entire planet there might be one vote for pure bhakti. But even that one vote, he said, actually will be karma mishra bhakti, not pure bhakti. People don't appreciate pure bhakti. And so many people, they think that a religious person is someone who dresses in a certain way. There's a very nice poem we printed a few years ago by a Scottish poet named Robert Burns. I'll have to translate this into normal English for you, but it's such a nice poem I want to show you. A robe of seeming truth and trust hid crafty observation, and secret hung with poisoned crust the dirk of defamation. A mask that like the Georgette showed dye varying on the pigeon, and for a mantle large and broad he wrapped him in religion. So we'll translate that. A robe of seeming truth and trust. That's pretty easy. We have many religious people in the world today. They may be Orthodox Christians, they may be Jews, they may be, we were just in Israel, we were also in Ukraine, and we've seen so many people dressing in different ways, different types of robes. Hare Krishna devotees wear robes, the Christians wear robes, so many people wear robes. And these robes are seeming truth and trust, but they hide crafty observation. In other words, somebody, he's acting like something that he's not. And he's looking very carefully, trying to impress everyone. And secret hung. There's a secret. With poisoned crust, the dirk of defamation. So this person has a secret. He's hiding his real position. And he has a poisoned crust. What is that poisoned crust? The poisoned outside? Dirk means a knife. The knife of criticism. And that's what such a person uses. He's a bogus person. He's not really a devotee. Huh? As Bhaktivinoda says, Mitya Vyavahari. His dealings with the devotees are false. He's just presenting himself like a devotee, but he's not really a devotee. Let's go on. A mask, okay, that's easy. A mask that, like the Georgette showed. I had to look that word up in the dictionary. Georgette, that's a Shakespearean kind of word. Georgette is an interesting word. It dates back to Shakespearean times. It refers to a kind of decoration around the neck. And it's also a kind of the feathers on a bird that they, when the male bird wants to get a female bird, he goes and shows that part of his neck, and the girl birds go wild. Wow, he's got such a neck. So, a mask that, like the Georgette showed, die varying on the pigeon. According to different birds, that Georgette looks a little differently. He's putting on a really good show. Everybody likes it so much. It was a great class, my God. Such a good kirtan leader. And for a mantle, large and broad, he wrapped him in religion. He wraps himself up in religion. And he looks like a good person. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that this is an obstacle that all of us are going to have to face on our journey to our eternal home of Braj. And that's the obstacle of acting like we're something what we're not. In the Hari Bhakti Surudoya goes on to describe Vistarja Vaguram Vyado Migana Kanchate Yata Prapancha Sat Kriyam Evam Dambika Dani Nandanam. He said that just as a hunter spreads a net designed to capture a deer, in the same way these hypocrites capture the wealth of rich men by spreading a net of ritualistic activities. By doing some different rituals and things, because materialistic people, they're very impressed with that. Oh, something happened. My first service my Guru Maharaj asked me to do was to come to Bhubaneswar and install the deities of Radha Gopinath. I said, Guru Maharaj, I just got initiated. I was initiated before. I used to do pujas and things. I don't know all these things probably. He said, no, you come. I want you to do. So we arranged a big, big show for 3 days. We chanted Purusha Shukta, we had so many abhisheks and so many different ceremonies. And I was in charge of working all these things. And at one point I came to my Guru Maharaj and I said, I'm just trying to understand what's happening. What it seems like to me, based on what Prabhupada says in the 10th canto, is that we're doing this as a show. To give faith to common people that something happened. Did you see? And he bent his fingers like that. And they chanted all these mantras and the big fire. It was really awesome. Something happened. But the real thing is when Krishna's pure devotee comes and he calls for the deity. And my Guru Maharaj liked it. He said, yes, this is exactly it. So there's a marriage between rich kind of people who are sometimes a little external and persons who make a good show. And those persons who make a good show, he says that they spread a net, just like a hunter tries to capture a deer. They do all these ritualistic ceremonies so they can capture a wealthy person. And now on to the verse I wanted to get to. Hananti dasyavo tavyam vimohasyar ninam danam pavitrar atitikshnagrai gramesh eva baka brataha. Mark those words. Baka brataha. At translation, as plunderers take away the wealth of men in the forest by threatening them with sharp weapons, similarly the charlatan meditators, or false sadhus, take away the wealth of people in the villages by the sharp-pointed kusha grass used in the ritualistic ceremonies they perform. Instead of having a gun, they have kusha grass. And that's what they use to rob people. And in the verse, the word baka-brata is used. Baka-brata means literally the vow of a crane. And as we mentioned before, Bhaktivinoda, he saw that there's a meaning not just in this pastime, but also in the very name of baka. Baka means a false sadhu. Because a crane, not a duck, but a crane is a bird that stands on one leg, like a yogi. And he stands for many hours without moving, like a yogi. And he's completely absorbed in meditation, like a yogi. But what is he meditating on? He's meditating on how to catch a fish. So, like this demon, Utkal, he became cursed to become a crane. And then he says, Prakatan patita shreyan, ya ekayo tayad swayam, baka briti swayam papa, patyatya param api. He says that someone commits a sin, they openly fall down. He says, but those persons who act like the crane, like the baka, they make many people fall down. Many people follow them. Chana pankeshtaladiya patanti bhavo nanu bhaila bratiko bhiyam sangha samba sanarchanai. Just as many people, if you have an army of people walking along a river, and they fall into quicksand, following along some other person, mistaking it for some dry land, and they drown and die. Similarly says that many spiritual aspirants are doomed by following such hypocrites. For they're like a cat. Once there was a cat. And the cat was terrorizing all the mice. He was the original Islamic terrorist. And all the mice, they were very disturbed. And then one day the cat made a proclamation. He said, you know, I have to apologize to all of you. I've been thinking about it, and I've been very bad. And I've decided to change my ways. I got this book, Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to start reading the Gita every day. And now I'm going to become a Hare Krishna devotee. And he's wearing tilak and he had neck beads. He said, now I'm a vegetarian. And all the mice were very, very happy. And all the mice came out and they were playing at the feet of the cat. And then one day the cat, he grabbed those mice. So that's known as Vaidala Bratiko, or the vow of the cat. They appear to be a saintly person, just to attract the worship of mice-like people. Atmanaivo pahasita mitya jnana samadhi bi nirlabja vanshayanti man lokam dambena vanshitaha. And although they make fools of themselves by pretending to perform meditation and trance, being without shame, they cheat the people of this world through hypocrisy. So Jiva Goswami also speaks about this subject in Bhakti Sandarbha, about what kind of bhajan that we should do. And he says there's two types of bhajan, sakaitava and niskaitava bhajan, or cheating bhajan, and bhajan that's not cheating. He says that there's nothing wrong with being fallen. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Bhajan Rahasya, he's given a few verses from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, which Bhaktivinoda says indicate the qualification for chanting the holy name. Very interesting verses. Jatashara makatasu nirvina sarva karmasu vedidakatmakam kaman paritige panishvara. He said there's a certain category of person is Jatashara makatasu. Krishna is saying is to Uddhava. Their faith in my kata has awakened. Jatashara makatasu nirvina sarva karmasu. And they stopped material life. They're not interested in that. But vedidakatmakam kama. And they know that if I break the principles, if I do some sinful activity, I'm going to suffer. But parityage panishvaraha, they can't stop it. They can't control their senses. I don't know if any of you know of anybody like that. I know a few people like that. So what should they do? And Krishna tells Uddhava, Tato bhajeta mam pritaha shradhalurjana nishchayaha jusamanasatam kamam dukodarkams tagarheya. He says that Tato bhajeta mam pritaha. First of all, keep worshipping me. Don't stop. in the Padma Purana, Vyasadeva, just after speaking about the 10 offenses of the holy name, he says, Namaparada yuktanam namanyeva harantigam avishranti prayuktani naivata harani cha. That if you're doing namaparad, no problem. Just keep chanting. Don't stop chanting. And if you keep chanting, then all the offenses will go away. So Krishna says a similar thing to Uddhava. Tato bhajeta mam pritaha. Continue doing your bhajan. You can't control your senses. You're breaking your religious principles. Then tato bhajeta mam. Then you just keep worshipping me. Prita, with affection. Not just in a mechanical way. Shraddha Lord. You do it with faith. Understanding there's nothing else that I can do. Maybe I can't follow all the principles. I've heard so many devotees say over the years, I can't follow all the principles. No problem. Srila Prabhupada didn't make such a big issue out of that. He didn't start the International Society for four principles. But he started the Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we say that Sarva Dharmam Pratyaya, Mamekam Sharnam, Aham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshishamam. We say that if you give up Dharma, then that'll protect you from sin. We don't say the Sarva Papa Pratyagya. Krishna doesn't say give up sin. So Krishna says to Uddhava, Shradhalur, with faith, Drita Nishchayaha, with firm determination. Maybe I can't walk, but I want to learn to walk. I'm not going to give this up. Jusamanistatan kama, even while that person is doing their nonsense activity. They should behave like this. Dukadarkam shagarhayam. And if they do like that, they should lament, they should cry, and feel very, very fallen. And as we mentioned yesterday, this is bhajan anukul. This is something which is favorable for our bhajan. Dukatrasa paradajar anarjitam tadinatam. Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that we have these 3 friends. He doesn't say 3 friends, but I think like that. Duk, unhappiness, trasa, fear, and aparadadyar, the sense of having committed an offense. And that gives us humility. Like Guru Maharaj would say